I just have one this thing, but education is not something which starts and ends at any point, right? Just making a point. For example, if I take you, I mean, you were in astrophysics, then spirituality, then moved
Lifelong
on to
learning,
Vedic
basically.
astrology, and then moved on to spirituality again, and this
No,
combination of everything.
I'm moving on to Chinese medicine now.
So when you look at that pattern, if you ask me, I think the current generation will definitely have to think of 2-3 professions in their lifetime, because we are not going to die early, we are not going to retire early, at least I wouldn't want to. So,
Right.
Let's say it changes, right? You can have very extremely different professional choice after 25 years of your life. So at that point, again, depending on the mood of the divine grace on your chart, you can pick up the next profession.
Yeah, it'll come as a calling. Calling can come at 40, it can come at 50, it can come at 80 also, a new calling. It can come at any time.
I know of a lady, Guruji, at the age of 70, she started learning computers. Because she learned, she didn't know anything about it, and she saw how important it was, and she started learning it at the age of 70.
Yeah, I think Indians are very restrictive in the way we look at it. We think you're done with your education in your college and it's over. That itself is not true. After every stage, there's a renewal process, and then you go on to the next set of reading and studying and immersing yourself and move on.
After 50, I am learning Vedic astrology.
Yes.
Devikaji, are we on?
So we have a question.
Oh, we have a question? Oh, yes, go ahead.
Before we have discussed that the parents and the grandparents' sins and blessings will be transferred to the kids. And if after the childbirth, if the parents, suppose a parent had very if the parent have done so many sins, suppose, and after the childbirth, if the parents do some services to nullify, that means, will that have an effect on the child? Like the sins transferred to the child will be nullified or reduced when the parents do some services?
She means
No, when it is when you start doing some service, see, we should not get too much hung up on this whole business of sins. No. You can be completely beaten down by it and go into negative thinking. No, you shouldn't do that. Now, the whole question comes actually from guilt and from wrong thinking. Now, when you start doing service, everything will depend on what is your sankalpa, why are you doing it in the first place? Why are you doing it? Are you doing it because you have a feeling of guilt that you have committed some sins in life, and by doing all this thing, Kshama kijiye, please forgive me, I have done so many sins. Are you doing with that feeling? Then that is a very wrong sankalpa, because the divine did not crucify you, the divine did not tell you that you committed a sin. It is you yourself, you are telling yourself you have committed a sin. Now, if you realize that you committed a sin and you feel, then please repent for it. Repent for it spiritually, atmically, in your inner consciousness, in your prayer, in your meditation.
It must come from a realization.
It must come from realization. So the seva cannot be a palliative or an escape for you. And your sankalpa is very important. With what sankalpa you are doing seva. And whatever it is, you have brought forth your children, and your children have their respective charts, and they will start unfolding. Creation is over. It's over. The product is created and has been launched into the world. The rest is, the children have got their own destiny, so it will keep unfolding. But see that you bring them up in a nice way with good values, with good spiritual values, and with good social conscience and good morality. So that's your best gift to your child, not your wealth. Not how much your bank balance you transfer to your kids, no. The moral teaching, the dharma, the values, that's the biggest gift you can give your children, biggest, not the money, no. The money is peanuts, it's not important.
Guruji, a general thing. we said that retrograde planet in 8,000, 12th house, then the grace is finished. So if it is in natal chart, then what happens? It was in transit chart, luckily. If it is in natal chart, retrograde planet.
Yeah, it's then the grace is there, but it is good for the spiritual life. You can't manifest it. Like I refuse to choose a C-section muhurta on December 10th and December 11th because Jupiter is becoming retrograde on December 10th. So I said, your surgeon may find it convenient. I am not finding it convenient. I am not giving the muhurta on December 10th because Jupiter is becoming retrograde, and I don't want to go for that. So that's why I chose December 8th when Jupiter is still direct, but it's approaching the retrograde, so it's very, very strong.
So one thing here, we discussed that Mars retrograde, what Arvindji said. It was retrograde one day after. So we said that it is the strongest planet. So here if we would have taken that, then Jupiter would have become the strongest.
Of course it is. But it's a good Sattvic Jupiter, and it is not retrograde, is even better. Of course. Of course. That's why the thing. So many, see, one of the sutras I've taught you is simultaneous observation of many variables. Now, when you're driving your car in Kamloops, and you are driving in Chennai, and you are driving in Bombay, now how many things do you notice at one time? So, left foot on the clutch, and right foot on the accelerator, and one foot on the gear thing. And you got 3 mirrors, so the eyes on 3 mirrors, so simultaneous seeing. So the astrologer has to do the simultaneous seeing all the time on many variables, 10-15 variables. Then out of that you will know what the truth is. Simultaneous seeing.
Ramakrishnaji, 1 minute.
Mic for you.
Mic.
I came to know by one teaching that when a newborn child is there few hours after birth, when you compassionately talk to that baby, the kind words and about her future and all that, and it will happen afterwards. With that knowledge, my granddaughter is Vivek's daughter. When born after few hours, I compassionately talk to her that she becomes a very gentle and good lady and highly educated, especially she will become a doctor. Now after in schooling, when she came to the schooling age, about 8th class like that, so she began to tell, I want to become a doctor. And astonishingly, it continued. Desire continued, and after getting passed in a 10th class, she again said to the parents that of any cost I will become a doctor and join me in Hyderabad, where this 11th and 12th class training will be given for good education. In what the school I didn't remember, the junior college. Shows though it is a costlier thing for Vivek, he joined there, but he has to spend 3 lakhs for the 2 years, and she is getting a very good grades in that college, and 2nd and 3rd he is standing. That is happening, sir.
Okay. So what is the question?
So what is the relation about this horoscope and the when putting some idea into the child's brain?
See, the idea you are whispering into the child's baby's ear, that is the blessing of the grandfather and the sankalpa of the grandfather, which is being seeded into the life of the baby. Now it's a punya vachanam. It is an auspicious words you are speaking. Punya vachanam, you are speaking auspicious words, and they are embedded into the consciousness. But if you look at the natal chart of Vivek's daughter, she may already have in the mood of the divine at the time and place of birth. It may already be scripted and written that she is destined to be a doctor. You must see her Dashamsha, you must see her ascendant house, and then we will know whether it's there or not. Most probably it is there already. Now, what is important is, in the case of Vivek's daughter and also in the case of Vivek, there is a clear knowingness that I have to be this in life. Vivek wanted to become a mathematician. He is a mathematics professor or reader, and his daughter is a doctor. So the knowingness, now the knowingness is the road of Atmic inclination. So the Atma is telling, I will do this. Now that is how education has to be. You will not dictate terms to your children, and your children will find out for themselves, and you will be facilitators and encouragers to help them to find out what is their Swadharma. That is the responsibility of parents and grandparents.
So, so is it that Ramakrishnaji's words
Sankalpa,
and saying in his Sankalpa is also a divine calling and a divine...
I think his whispering those words, which is coming from his Atma obviously, and his pure intent. Exactly.
Divine
So,
spoke through that.
yeah. So the divine has spoken through the grandfather.
So divine.
Yeah. So the see, we are not sensitive to the divine. For us, the divine is only some 1 million watts light must shine from somewhere. That only is the divine for us.
Somebody
This is
outside.
stupid. This is completely stupid. The divine is all pervasive in every nook and corner of life, in every word, in every breath. It's completely because of the divine only.
But
So-
could it also be that this baby growing up has been told? You know, she may be very bonded to the grandfather, and she has been told that the grandfather whispered this in her ear. And because, you know, very often grandchildren bond a lot with the grandparents, so she just feels that she should become a doctor because her grandfather wanted it to be.
We can't see. The consciousness is very impressionable.
Yeah.
Is very fertile, like mutable mercury, very impressionable. But if the mood of the divine at the time and place of birth will not accommodate the seeding of the grandfather's Sankalpa, then she will not get that impulse, won't get it. So that has permitted now, that's the significant thing, that the mood of the divine at the time and place of birth has permitted the infusion of the grandfather's Sankalpa, Punya Vachanam, is gone in. Okay. So these are, you have got to pay attention to these events in life. Got to pay tremendous.
Mike.
Like Ramana
Maharishis, yeah.
said that
Right,
you will
right.
become a doctor.
Right, yeah, just like that.
Just like
Just no different.
no,
You cannot come up with a question, but Ramakrishnaji is not Ramana Maharshi, you should not, because that is
then
complete.
divine spoke through.
Divine spoke, exactly, exactly.
Shankar, when my father was dying, he was in coma, and I was in the room alone, and I thanked him with all my heart. I wished him to understand that, you know, how much he had done for me and how thankful I was. And unfortunately he was in coma, so I don't know whether once I perceived that he was listening to whatever I was saying, but it was so painful that I was thanking him and he couldn't hear because he was in coma. But isn't it the children's duty also to thank their parents for whatever good has been done for them? We expect our parents to guide us and do this thing and that thing, but I felt it was my duty to do something for my parents, to thank them for whatever they had done for me.
You thank them, right?
Yes.
So close the karmic cycle. You close the karmic cycle, right? Of Runa.
That means I don't know whether it was a karmic cycle that I closed.
Yeah, because see, energy came from your father to you through poshana, okay, through nourishment in life, and then now the gratitude takes the energy back. So when whole cycle is closed, when karmic cycle is closed, a cycle is closed.
Pitra Rin, we said.
Yeah.
Actually, I think to what he or even she was saying, the communication starts happening much before. I mean, if you ask me, from the time I was pregnant, I was constantly talking to my child. And I think the reciprocative reaction is very, very mutual. The communication just starts and it's never ending, if you ask me, between a mother and a child.
Right.
I mean, they ask silly questions like, how do you know the child is in pain? You don't have to, you will know it very naturally.
Yeah, mother and child, yes.
Yeah, it's a very direct contact,
Yeah.
and I don't think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Devikaji.